Okay, so this is kind of your walking through how to balance these chemical equations. You should have done this last night as your homework. Okay, and so when we balance these chemical equations, the first thing we want to do is we want to count the number of each type of atom on each side. So for our sodium, on this side we have 1. For magnesium, if we look, we have 1 magnesium. And for fluorine, we have this subscript 2. That means we have 2 fluorines on this side. So we need to have these match on our reactant side and our product side. So right now on our product side, we have 1 sodium. We have, just to keep these in the same order, I'm going to put my magnesium next. I have 1 magnesium, and I have 1 fluorine. Okay, so if I look, they're all balanced except for my fluorine. I have 2 over here and 1 over here. So to get 2 over here, I'm going to put a 2 up here. When I put my 2 up here, now I have 2 sodiums and 2 fluorines. Okay, so now my fluorines balance, but my sodium does not. So I need 2 sodiums over here. So to do that, I can put a 2 coefficient up here. So now I have 2 sodiums on this side. So when I look to see if they balance, double checking, I have 2 sodiums here, 2 sodiums here. 1 magnesium on this side, 1 magnesium on this side. 2 fluorines on this side, 2 fluorines on this side. Okay, let's try the next one. So step 1, I'm going to count how many of each different type of atom I have on each side. So on this side, I have 1 magnesium, 1 hydrogen, this is Cl, so 1 chlorine. On this side, I have 1 magnesium. I'm going to do my hydrogens next to keep them equal. I have 2 hydrogens. That's what this 2 is. That means I have 2 of these. And then chlorine, I have that 2 subscript, so I have 2 chlorines there. Okay? So if I look, I need 2 chlorines on this side. So to do that, I'm going to put a 2 up here. So now this changes my hydrogen. I have 2 hydrogens and I have 2 chlorines. So let's double check to see if they match. So I have 1 magnesium, 1 magnesium, 2 hydrogens, 2 hydrogens, 2 chlorines, 2 chlorines. So these balance, and this would be my chemical formula. Let's do the next one. Step 1, count how many of each atom you have. So I have the subscript of 2. That means I have 2 chlorines on this side. I have potassium and iodide. So I have 1 potassium and 1 iodine. On this side, I'm going to keep my elements in the same order. So I have 1 chlorine. I have 1 potassium. And I have 2 iodines. Okay, so I need to have 2 on this side. So to do that, I'm going to put a 2 in front of my potassium iodine. That means I have 2 now of the potassium and iodine. So now my iodines match, but my potassiums don't. I have 2 on this side and I have 1 on this side. So I'm going to put a 2 up here. That's going to change my potassium and my chlorine. So now I have 2 potassiums and 2 chlorines. So let's check if they match now. I have 2 chlorines over here and 2 chlorines over here. So those balance. I have 2 potassiums over here and 2 potassiums over here. So those balance. I have 2 iodines here and 2 iodines here. So those match. So now my chemical equation Cl2 plus 2Ki yields 2 KCl plus I2. So now these balance. So number 4, first step, count how many atoms you have of each one. So I have 1 sodium, 1 chlorine. That's for my reactants. My products, I have 1 sodium, and this is Cl2, so I have 2 chlorines. I have 2 chlorines on this side. I need 2 on this side, so I'm going to put a 2 up here. Now I have 2 sodiums, because that's going to change how many sodiums, and I have 2 chlorines. So now I have 2 sodiums here, 1 sodium here, 2 chlorines here, 2 chlorines here. So I need to change this sodium. I need 2 on this side. So I'm going to put a 2 here. So now I have 2 sodiums. Double checking, I got 2 sodiums, 2 sodiums, 2 chlorines, 2 chlorines. My chemical equation, 2NaCl yields 2Na plus Cl2. That balances. Okay, continuing on. I have Na plus O2 yields Na2O. So first thing, I want to count the atoms on my reactant side. I have 1 sodium, and that subscript means I have 2 oxygens. On this side, I count, the subscript means I have 2 sodiums, and then there's none here, so this means I have 1 oxygen over here. So I need to get, if I look at this, I need to get 2 oxygens on this side. So I'm going to put a 2 up here. That's going to change my numbers a little bit. So I have 2 Na2, so I'm going to multiply my 2 times 2. That's how many sodiums I have. So I have 4 sodiums. I have 1 oxygen times my 2, so now I have 2 oxygens over here. So now I have 2 oxygens over here, 2 oxygens over here, but I have 4 sodiums over here and only 1 sodium over here. So I need to have 4 sodiums over here. So if I put a 4 coefficient there, now I have 4 sodiums on this side. So 4 sodiums here, 4 sodiums here, they balance. 2 oxygens here, 2 oxygens here, they balance. This is a balanced chemical equation. Next one, so step 1, count how many atoms are on each side of the equation. So I have 1 sodium, 1 hydrogen, 1 chlorine. On my product side, I have 1 sodium. How many hydrogens do I have? I have that subscript 2, so that means I have 2 hydrogens. And then chlorines, I have 1. So I have 1 sodium, 1 sodium, 1 hydrogen, 2 hydrogens. So I need to have 2 on this side, so I'm going to start by putting a 2 coefficient on this side. That's going to change how many hydrogens and how many chlorines I have. So now I have 2 hydrogens and 2 chlorines. Okay, so I'm going to check again. My sodiums work, my hydrogens work, my chlorines don't work. Okay, so I have 2 over here and 1 over here, so I need 2 over here. That's going to change my sodiums. So now I have 2 sodiums over here and 2 chlorines over here. So now I have a sodium and 2 sodiums. Those don't work. My hydrogen matches, my chlorines match. So I need 2 sodiums over here. So I'm going to put a 2 coefficient here. Now I have 2 sodiums on this side. So when I look, do my number of atoms match? I have 2 sodiums, 2 sodiums, 2 hydrogens, 2 hydrogens, 2 chlorines, 2 chlorines. So this is my balanced equation. 2Na plus 2HCl yields H2 plus 2NaCl. Okay, number 7. So step 1, just going to count how many atoms we have of each on each side. So I have 1 potassium. I have that subscript of 2, so I have 2 chlorines. And then on my product side, I have 1 potassium and 1 chlorine. So my chlorines don't match. I have 2 on this side, 1 on this side. I need to make that a 2. So I put my 2 up here. That's going to change how many potassiums I have. So now I have 2 potassiums on this side and 2 chlorines on this side. So my chlorines match, but my potassiums don't. I have 2 here and 1 here. I need 2 on this side. So if I put a 2 coefficient up here, now I have 2 potassiums. So I have 2 potassiums here and here, 2 chlorines here, 2 chlorines here, and so this is my balanced equation. Okay, the challenge.